So when we talk about Yiddish language, when we talk about any language, we are necessarily also talking about culture, right? We can't really study the language in isolation from the culture. And one of the most important developments over the 1,000 years that the Jews of Eastern Europe were speaking Yiddish was the emergence, the rise of the Hasidic movements, which I'm sure, you know, Rabbi Ari could say a lot more from the inside than I could say about that from the outside. But I'm going to use one cultural artifact of that movement to work together to shore up our knowledge of conjugating verbs in the third person present. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this cultural artifact, this song that hopefully you received today, as the Rebbe singt, when the Rebbe sings. So the Hasidic movement arises as a lot of things, but in part a critique of a sort of strictly hierarchical Jewish society that that privileged knowledge, and particularly legal knowledge, as kind of the apex of everything, but knowledge that was available to a relatively select few, and that privileged learning over every other kind of Jewish activity. And along, now I'm speaking very broadly, along comes Hasidus, the Hasidic movement in the 18th century, and it's a populist movement. It's a movement that believes that the very highest spiritual experiences are available to any Jew, no matter how simple. And it's a mystical and spiritual movement that says, yes, learning Torah remains important. Torah is the best as choyre, as we said last week, but davening, prayer, singing together, spending time together, exchanging words of Torah together in a communal setting, these are also very important religious experiences. And so we have a folk song, as the Rebbe singt, that emerges from this kind of a reality where Hasidim would go and spend time with the Rebbe, with their spiritual leader, and he was understood to be a figure for emulation. Whatever the Rebbe did, that was exemplary, and everybody else wanted to do it too. And so that's what this folk song is built around. And what is going to happen in this song, and because it's a folk song, we don't have a single author, and we don't have an authoritatively correct version. People add on all kinds of different verses, different stanzas, but there are some traditional ways to sing it. And so we see this very repetitive song emerge that has the Rebbe doing something, and then all the Chassidim doing it also. And then there's an onomatopoeia. There's a sound that sounds like the thing being done that gets sung at the end of the stanza. So first I want to look at the words together, just read through and make sure we understand all of the words. And then I want to show you a very lovely version that I found on YouTube today, sung by Theodore Bickel, and we'll listen to him. And then maybe we can all unmute ourselves and try to sing along with Theodore Bickel. So the song is called As the Rebbe singt, when the Rebbe sings. And it starts out, as the Rebbe singt, as the Rebbe singt. Some people sing as the Rebbe singt un as the Rebbe singt. So I put it with the word un, which is just and. Singen alle Chassidim. All of the Chassidim sing. And then that repeats, singen alle Chassidim. And then you'll hear different onomatopoeias for singing. And the most common one is tra-la-la-la-la, but there are some other ones in circulation. And if you look on YouTube for As the Rebbe singt, either in Hebrew characters, Yiddish characters, or if you just write it out in English, you'll find a whole lot of different versions. So it always starts out with As the Rebbe singt. Then it usually goes on to As the Rebbe tanzt. Anyone want to hazard a guess or know what tanzen is? Tanz? Ada?
Dance.
The dance. Okay.
Right.
So the most common onomatopoeia that we have in Yiddish for dance is something like I die hop hop hop, or sometimes you'll hear it just hop hop hop. Hop is hop. So I die hop hop hop. I die hop hop hop. As der Rebbe tanzt, und as der Rebbe tanzt, tanzen alle Chassidim. All of the Chassidim also dance. Then the version that we're going to hear, the Theodor Bakel version, has as der Rebbe schweigt. Now, we had a Sprichwort, we had a saying last week, Reden is silber, schweigen, Reden is silber, schweigen is gold. Yeah?
Silence.
So exactly, to remain silent. So Reden is speech, speech is silver, silence is golden. So as der Rebbe schweigt, when the Rebbe is silent, schweigen alle Chassidim, then all of the Chassidim also remain silent. And then it usually concludes with as der Rebbe schloft. Schlofen? Oh, I see someone's waiting. Sleep. Okay, so as the Rebbe schloft, schlofen alle Chassidim. When the Rebbe sleeps, all of the Chassidim also sleep. And then there are a number of other verbs that can be added in. So a very common one, it's not in the Theodor Bakel version, but one that I like to sing with my students usually, is as der Rebbe lacht, lachen.
Laugh.
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 As the
is
Rebbe
right.
lacht, when the Rebbe laughs, und as der Rebbe lacht, lachen alle Chassidim. All of the Chassidim also laugh. So the onomatopoeia for laughter is usually something like och, 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 which is the Yiddish for ho, 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 ho. Sometimes you'll hear variations on that, but that's the most common one. So now I'm going to share my screen. And
Daily wellness, a mindful mix for
So,
fresh morning and night.
we have to put up with our ad.
Spotify. Back in 1964, our founder William
How much
Stonewall
longer?
Miller created a full-service photo lab for local.
Als der Rebbe singt, singen alle Chassidim.
Just remembered about the volume. I'm gonna turn that up, and now it should be better.
Singen alle Chassidim, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la. Singen alle Chassidim, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la. Singen alle Chassidim. Als der Rebbe tanzt und als der Rebbe tanzt, tanzen alle Chassidim, tanzen alle Chassidim. Hopp, 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 tanzen alle Chassidim. Hopp, 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 tanzen alle Chassidim. Als der Rebbe schweigt, schweigen alle Chassidim. Alle Chassidim. Schweigen alle Chassidim. Als der Rebbe schweigt, als der Rebbe schweigt, schlafen alle Chassidim, schlafen alle Chassidim.
Okay. Then there is a significant add-on in this version, an instrumental add-on that you can go back and listen to it later. You have the link at the top of your page of lyrics to that version. And there are many more versions. That version is a little bit brisk, so it moves along quickly. So we'll try to slow it down. Can we unmute everyone, Rabbi Solish?
Yes, we can unmute. Oh, hold on. Can we unmute everybody? Here's what I can do. I can ask all to unmute.
Okay, so everyone, please unmute yourself.
You have to unmute yourself and get your singing voice ready.
That's right.
I need to mention this one thing. That is an experience when it comes to Zoom. So there's a time delay, so it may not sound perfect, but it's going to sound as perfect as we can get it.
Okay. All right. So first, I would like to invite everyone to slowly read through the lyrics with me, just reading before we attempt to sing. We'll establish a pace, right? Okay. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. As the Rebbe singt, as the
Rebbe singt,
Singen
alle
alle Chassidim.
Singen
alle Chassidim.
la 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 la, la 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 la, singen alle
Alle Chassidim.
as the
Der Rebbe singt, der Rebbe tanzen alle Chassidim. Tanzen alle Chassidim.
Die, hop, hop, hop. Die, hop, hop, hop. Alle und als der Rebbe
Rebbe
schweigt,
Ryan alle
Rebbe schweigt, schweigen alle Chassidim. Schweigen alle Chassidim.
schweigen alle Chassidim.
As the Rebbe.
As der
Rebbe tanzt, der Rebbe
as der Rebbe
Der Rebbe schläft, alle Chassidim. Offen alle Chassidim.
reminds me when I was little, we used to sing that.
Yeah? Okay. How was that? Any questions after reading it through? I'm just
Nur sich bedenken Sachen, wenn ich bin klein.
I've taught this song many times before, but never over Zoom to 57 people. So we'll see. Let's have a go. We'll sing it once. We won't bill ourselves. We won't record it. We won't bill ourselves as super Zoom choirs.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So, as the Rebbe singt, can you start us off?
As the Rebbe singt, as the Rebbe singt,
Rebbe singt, alle Chassidim.
As the
Rebbe tanzt, der Rebbe tanzt, tanzen alle Chassidim. Alle Chassidim.
I die, as the Rebbe schweigt, schweigen alle
Chassidim.
schweigen alle
Chassidim.
la 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 la.
Schweigen alle Chassidim, schlafen, als der Rebbe schläft, als der Rebbe schläft, schlafen alle Chassidim,
Als de Rebbe lacht, als de Rebbe lacht,
schlafen alle Chassidim. Okay. That went, I think, as well as can be expected.
yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't be worse.
So,
Bravo.
if you listen to this a few more times and get it into your head, you will develop a very automatic sense of how to conjugate verbs in the third person present, whether it's masculine, feminine, or neuter. You conjugate the verb by adding tes, or the T sound, at the end. So singen becomes singt, tanzen becomes tanzt, schweigen becomes schweigt, schlafen, schlaft, and lachen, lacht, right? So hopefully this song will stand you in good stead.
Should we mute everybody again?
We can now mute everyone again. If you would all kindly remute yourselves.
Okay.
Oops.
Okay. So now I want us to go ahead with our other content for tonight, which is about family and family relationships. And you'll see by the time we get to the end of this, that this will also, this is the most universal thing in the world. Everyone has family and family structures, but you'll see that this also involves an element of Jewish culture. So we start out with di mame. Everything starts out with di mame, mother, right? Di mame. Mame is feminine, as you might expect, and der Tate is masculine. We do have more formal words. We can say die Mutter and der Vater. These are very German sounding. They're a little bit cold and distant in Yiddish, meaning, do we use these words? Sure, but very few families have, very few families, I would say, over the past 100 years, have the children actually address their parents as mutter and vater, unless it's some sort of a situation, like if somebody is in trouble. If a child has been mischievous, then they might plead for mercy with a vater, but usually it's die Mame and der Tate. And we have an expression in Yiddish, Gott is a vater, God is a father. It's actually the full expression. This is from Shalom Aleichem, but it's sort of like morphed into a folk expression, is Wien is a Stadt und Gott is a Vater. That Vienna is a city and God is a father. So, meaning these things are unassailably true. But you'll recall that when Jews address God in the second person, it's with du and usually tate. They'll say, speaking in the sort of traditional way about God as a father, they'll say, du tate in Himmel, Father in heaven. All right. Then we move on to die Bobbe and der Zaidy. Right? Bobbe Zaidy, the grandparents, die Bobbe, grandma, der Zaidy. In American sort of Yinglish, in Yiddish as it's evolved in this country, we usually, in my family, we say Bubby and Zaidy, right? But the official Yiddish, the Klalsprach, the standardized Yiddish that I mentioned in the first session, says Bobbe and Zaidy. I'll just clear up a misconception while I'm here in the neighborhood. You'll sometimes hear about a Bubby Maise or a Bubbe Maise, people think that it's an old wives' tale, that it has something to do with grandmothers, with Bobbes. This is not actually where that expression comes from. It's actually a Bove Maise, which comes from an early modern Yiddish book of chivalric knight stories called the Bovebuch. It's complicated, but it's a book of sort of fantastical stories, very much in the medieval chivalric tradition, and it's known as the Bovebuch. So any time there's like a tall tale or an unlikely story, that's a Bove Maise. So just to redeem the Jewish grandmother a little bit. It's not that she's believed to tell untrue stories. I have a question here. D is feminine, the. Der is masculine, the. So I tried to give you the proper article for each of these family relationship nouns. So most of them go along with the gender that you would expect the person to have. So the male ones are der, the female ones are die, and there's going to be one important exception to that. All right. So die Bobbe, der Zaidy. Before that, we have der alter Zaidy, the great-grandfather, right? And this usage, alter, literally means older or previous or prior. And this is very prominent actually in the Hasidic world because there are references to the Rebbe and the alter Rebbe, the previous Rebbe before that, right? And Rabbi Solish, that would be a primary way of identifying certain figures, right?
Yeah. The founder of Chabad, who is the first Chabad Rebbe, is called Der Alter Rebbe. So he's not the prior,
right?
So he's the first of seven,
original.
but like OG, like the original, right? The original Chabad Rebbe is known as Der Alter Rebbe. The Rebbe before the last one, it would be the Der Friedricher Rebbe, which means the
earlier.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. So that usage very much lives on, and that's the sense of alter Zaidy, the previous generations. Die alte Bobbe, same thing, but for the grandma, the great grandma. Okay, now we do have one family relation that is neuter, interestingly enough, and that is das Kind, the child. Right? This is the identification of a child without attaching a gender to the child. And the plural of that is die Kinder. And you hear this all the time. It's come into English very prominently in Kindergarten, as we would say in Yiddish, right? The garden of children, the place where children grow and flourish is the Kindergarten. So that is das Kind, die Kinder. True story. We've pretty much broken the habit, but for a few years, my family was really into kind bars. And the first time I saw it in the supermarket, I was flipping out that somebody had named this thing a Kind bar. I don't know, my head was in Yiddish land. And I thought it was amazing that they had made this whole marketing campaign around selling these semi-nutritious, energy-packed bars to children.
But there is a story behind that. It's a Jewish man that named it.
Taka?
Oh, yes. Daniel Lubetsky from Mexico City, but he's a philanthropist in New York, and he did it for Chesed.
Oh.
And there is a story with the concentration camp. So Google it, Daniel Lubetsky, kind bars.
Okay, awesome. So maybe I wasn't so far off the mark. Maybe
no? Yeah.
Kind and Kins. All right, yeah. Excellent. I will Google that. All right, now, we do sometimes want to talk about the specific gender of our children. So we have die Tochter, the daughter, and the plural of that. And I included plurals when they were interesting or unusual, in part to give you a sense of the range of how Yiddish nouns can form a plural. And when you're learning Yiddish vocabulary, as you learn each noun, you want to learn its gender, In other words, which article goes with it. And you also want to learn how it forms the plural, because some of them are unpredictable. So sometimes there's a vowel change in the middle of the word, and this is one of those cases. So die Tochter goes to plural die Techter, right? And there was a singing group a few years ago. Now they've grown up, and I'm not sure that they're still performing, but Binyamin Schechter's daughters sang together as die Schechter Techter, the Schechter daughters, right? So that's a cute name. So that is die Tochter, die Techter. You'll hear the expression a lot, a Yidishe Tochter, meaning a Jewish woman. That she will seldom be identified as a Yidische Frau, which would correspond to the German Frau and be a sort of generic way of saying woman. It's more commonly a Yiddische Tochter, a Jewish daughter. Even if we're talking about an adult woman, there's a kind of keen awareness that she's somebody's daughter, right? As opposed to der Sohn, we don't have that usage for boys and for men, but der Sohn is the son, die Zin is the plural. So just like English, which has a homophone for the sun in a family and the sun that shines on the world with its light, in Yiddish, it's also a homophone. Both words are Zun. Der Zun is the male child in a family. Die Zun is the celestial body, all right? Okay, so der Zun, die Zin. And then we have a word that can either take the masculine or the neuter, just depends on location, and both of them have come into standard Yiddish, which is der Einikel or das Einikel, a grandchild, okay? And if you go back to the conversation worksheets that I distributed the first week and updated the second week with the English translation, there's a question there about, do you have a grandchild? Do you have grandchildren? Where do they live? So that's Einikel. And then similarly with der or das, with the masculine or the neuter, we have ur Einikel. So an alte Zaidy or an alte Bubby has an ur Einikel, a grandchild, a great-grandchild. It's another generation, right? So a nice way to bless somebody with long life is sollst du haben ur Einiklach. May you live to see great-grandchildren. So ur evanim levanecha. May you see children, may you see your children have children. Okay, die Schwester, sister. One of the interesting things about Schwester is that when it forms the plural, nothing at all changes. So die Schwester means the sister singular, and die Schwester also means the sisters plural. Okay. A common expression with Schwester is you'll hear about Schiffsschwester, ship sisters. You'll sometimes hear about Schiffsbrüder, ship brothers. And this was a word that really arose during the great Jewish migration to this country between 1885 and 1924, when the Immigration Act was promulgated that effectively kept Jews out of the United States starting in 1924. So this word came about to express the almost familial relationship that people came to feel with the strangers that they met on the ship, often traveling in steerage or third class, going from points of embarkation in Europe, whether it was Hamburg or Liverpool or wherever it might have been, coming to the United States, to Ellis Island or to Galveston or to Savannah, wherever people might have landed. They referred to, because it was a journey of between 2 and 3 weeks, depending on weather conditions, and it was a difficult journey, and people kind of trauma bonded during the course of that. And so you'll see a lot of references in Yiddish literature of the time to Schiffsschwester, to your ship sisters and your ship siblings. Okay. Then we have der Bruder, right? The brother, and die Brider. So the plural of Bruder is Brider. Der Bruder, die Brider. Ooh, and it looks like something got erased or not put in. Oh my. I hope you have a complete version of this. I'm looking at one. Do you have Yiddish for the next word, for das Schwesterkind? No? Oy, oy, oy.
Not
This
in
document is not in its final form. I am so sorry. I did it very quickly while caring for children today. Okay, I'm sorry about this. I'll find the updated version and get that out to Rabbi Solish. But the next term that we have is das Schwesterkind. So the sister's child. Who's your sister's child? Your cousin, right? Whether it's literally your first cousin or whether it's second cousin, third cousin, what have you, the generic word for cousin is das Schwesterkind, and then the plural is die Schwesterkinder. And as a kind of slangy thing in American Yiddish, we also see the word cousine. Cousine for men and cousine come about. It's not proper Yiddish, but it was commonly used. And we have a Yiddish film called Die Grüne Cousine, the green cousin, about a cousin who's just newly arrived in the United States, and in that sense is still green. Right?
Wouldn't the Schwesterkind be your niece?
No. Mm-mm.
Not your cousin?
No,
your
it's cousin.
sister's
It's the cousin. We have,
cousin.
yeah. So because it's from the perspective not of you as the sister, and it's your sister's child, but rather from the perspective of the next generation, of thinking about mom's Schwesterkind,
Okay.
or dad's Schwesterkind. So Schwesterkind is the cousin. Then we have two words for aunt. The kind of proper official Yiddish word is die Mumme. Let me just quickly see if I can call up the right version of this and share my screen with you. Aha, that is the wrong version. Here we go. Oh no, you don't even have the right font. Oy, okay. Let me just share my screen real quick. Sorry about this. Here we go. Okay. So, die Schwesterkind, die Schwesterkinder, die Mumme is the aunt, but also die Tante. Die Tante comes into very wide usage, and some of you might have tantes rather than mummes. Okay. Der Vetter is the uncle. You get a lot of, the genre of dad jokes that are like very mild, not that funny jokes. You have a lot of dad jokes in Yiddish that feature der Vetter, the fat uncle, because fet means fat, and Vetter would be the masculine descriptor in the nominative case. So der Vetter, the fat uncle, that comes up a lot. Now, our words for niece and nephew, here those come. We have der Plimenik. Der Plimenik is nephew. And this is a word from Slavic, der Plimenik. And then we can tell it's Slavic because it gets the Slavic feminine ending, die Plimenice. Die Plimenice is a niece. Okay. All right. Der Schwer. Der Schwer is a father-in-law. We also see a lot of jokes about that in Yiddish because the word Schwer also means either heavy or difficult. A problem, a tzore, can be schwer, a difficult problem. So when somebody doesn't get along with the father-in-law, then he might be described as a schwer, a difficult father-in-law. But people love to joke about these things all the time. The schwer goes with the schwieger, the mother-in-law. So again, this is from the perspective of the married couple. The bride's father to the groom is der schwer. The groom's father to the bride is der schwer. The schwieger is the bride's mother vis-a-vis the father, and the groom's mother vis-a-vis the bride, right? So that's the schwieger. And now we get to a fun one, der Edem, the son-in-law. Again, this is from the perspective of the parents-in-law. So this is the son-in-law, and Edem goes with die Schnur. The daughter-in-law is die Schnur. Okay? And then, because Jews have been blessed with large extended families, in many instances, we have words branching outward. So we have die Schwägerin, the sister-in-law, and der Schwager, the brother-in-law. Okay. Now here's where things get interesting culturally. I'll just come back so I can see your faces for a moment as I introduce this concept, and then we'll go back to the list. In English, it's always a little bit awkward when you want to talk about your in-laws. And by awkward, I mean a little bit unclear exactly who we're talking about, because technically in-laws are my spouse's parents. But what about the relationship between the two sets of in-laws, between the bride's family and the groom's family? In English, we don't have vocabulary for that, because these are sort of fundamentally separate families that come together at this one point of tangency and connection through the marriage, which is the connection between the bride and the groom. That's not really the underlying cultural assumption of Yiddish. In Yiddish, we assume that when a couple marries, there is now a kind of durable, multifaceted, multi-pronged relationship that is being established between the bride's family and the groom's family, and that these people are now all kin to each other, and they need words, they need vocabulary words that reflect that. So now going back to share my screen with you, we get the machateniste. We get the, and it's technically the proper Yiddish pronunciation is mechuteniste, and some people have it that way, but a lot of Yiddish speakers, and particularly I think a lot of American Yiddish speakers, have the pronunciation machateniste, and so I put that on because I thought it might be familiar to some, and that is the mother-in-law from the point of view of the other side's parents. So if I'm the bride and my mom is my mom, then my husband's mom is her machateniste, or my father's machateniste would be my husband's mom, right? And we have the parallel corresponding relationship going in the other direction with the mechuten, the father-in-law, from the point of view of the other side's parents, right? So this is the direct kinship relationship between the two families, between the parents of the bride and the parents of the groom, kind of irrespective of not having to go through the bride and the groom in order to name that relationship. And so generally, those people, that couple, are your mechutonim or machatonim, your in-laws, as spoken about from the other side, okay? And these family relationships give rise, of course, to all kinds of fun Sprichwörter, sayings and proverbs, and I thought that I would share a couple of them with you. So one of them is, was für ein Mechuten bin ich dir? Literally, what kind of an in-law am I to you? But that really means, what have I got to do with you? Or even more broadly, how is this any of my business? Like, why are you involving me? Why are you talking to me? Was für ein Mechuten bin ich dir? And then, another fun one, I told you that a son-in-law is an edem. So the expression is an emeser gan edem, playing on the phrase Gan Eden, which means paradise or the Garden of Eden. So this can be said either sincerely or ironically. If you just adore your son-in-law and you feel like he treats your daughter like a queen and you're so happy that they're together and you just celebrated Father's Day and he's a wonderful father to your grandchildren, you might say, an emeser gan Eden. He is a real Garden of Eden son-in-law. Right? So it's not Eden, it's Edom. But if you are really regretting the match that your daughter made and he's not treating her well and things are not going well between the two of them, then you might very sarcastically and bitterly say, an emeser gan Edom. Such a son-in-law as no one ever saw, right? In the words of Fiddler on the Roof. Okay, I'm seeing real-time feedback that parents have complained about the lack of a word like machatenista in English because it's really a very important relationship and we don't have a direct word for it. Okay, so I think we're going to make breakout groups. So if you can get to work on making them, Rabbi Solish, are you still able to do that? To set up breakout groups?
Yeah, I think I could. Yeah, I can do it. It'll take me a few minutes.
That's okay, because I want to spend a few minutes going over the vocabulary that we.
How many people in a breakout room do you usually like?
I think that no more than 5 or 6. So if you make 10 breakout rooms,
Perfect.
will be good. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. All right. So I'm going to ask you about some things that other people are doing. And I just want you to give me answers that are grammatical. They don't have to be truthful. So you can tell me that somebody is sleeping, schläft, sie schläft. You can tell me that somebody is laughing, lacht, sie lacht. You can tell me that somebody is singing. You can tell me that somebody is dancing. All I care about is for you to correctly conjugate the verb and put it with the article for he or sie for she. Okay, that's the whole point of this exercise. So I'm going to call on people as I see them on my screen. And you can pass if you really don't want to answer, but try to answer. And if you're not sure, call a friend. It's a friendly crowd. Okay. Rezel. Ja? Rezel, was tut Nathanael? Was tut Nathanael? Oh, and unmute yourself as you answer. Oh, I should specify. Rezele, Rosita, Rezele. Was tut Nathanael?
Yeah. Lernt Yiddish mit der ich habe einen Teacher mit der Lehrerke.
Lehrerke. Okay. Lernt Yiddish. I'm gonna simplify and say lernt Yiddish.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Breakout rooms are a problem. That's fine. We'll forget the breakout room. We'll manage. Lernt Yiddish. Okay. Nathanael. Was tut Edel? Adele Northrop. Was tut Edel?
Oof. I am so
Just
sorry.
make
I'm not sure. What does the question mean again? I'm so sorry.
What is she doing? What is she doing? Just give me a verb.
Tanzen.
Okay, so what should our pronoun be for she?
Wie tanzt.
Sie tanzt. Sie tanzt.
Sie tanzt.
Sie tanzt. Okay, Edel, you have to make the truth teller of Nasano. You have to give us a little. Adele? Edel? Adele? You have to give us a little tanz. You have to just give us, Nasano said you're tancing. You have to give us a little tanz. Perfect. Okay, now you have told the truth. Okay, Edel, was tut Alyssa Sultanic? Was tut sie? What is she doing? Adele, can you unmute yourself? Was tut Alyssa? What is Alyssa doing?
Sie schweigt.
Sie schweigt. Okay, das ist damit. Sie schweigt. Okay. Alyssa, was tut Tata und Mama Margolis? Rhoda und ihr Mann. Was tut Mishpoches Margolis?
How do you say they?
They.
They.
This is a hard one because we didn't go over third person plural. But you just throw a verb out and we'll help you conjugate it.
Okay. They schloft.
They
Schloften?
They schlafen.
Schlafen.
So our base is schlof, and we're going to add the ending langer nun, the long nun down at the end, they schlafen. Okay, so Margolis is, give us a little, there you go. Okay. Rhoda Margolis. Was tut Sharna Perlo?
Shine upon him?
Sharna Perlo. She's on the second of my screens. Was tut Sharna Perlo?
Oh, ich weiß nicht.
That's a good answer. You don't know. Just make something up. Just give us a verb.
Sie schläft. Sie schläft.
Sie schläft. Okay. The popular one, sie schläft. We can see her there. Ooh, sie schläft. Okay. Sharna, weck sich auf. Wake up. Sharna, was tut Scott Glazer?
Lacht.
Lacht. Och, 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 och. You have to laugh in Yiddish. Och, 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 och. There you go. Okay. Scott, was tut Harriet? What's Harriet doing?
Harriet reden a bisschen Yiddish. Oh, you froze. Oh.
Okay.
So sorry, your picture froze on me.
Am I back?
Yeah, we can see you now. We can hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. It's like the worst thing, the thing we all of Zoom. Connection unstable. Sie redet ein bisschen Yiddish? Wait, sorry, I lost the thread. Scott schläft, no, nein, Scott lacht. Scott lacht. Und was tut Harriet? Oh, you're muted now.
Schluft.
Sie
Red?
Sie reden und verstehen Yiddish.
Sie redt with a S at the end. Sie redt und versteht Yiddish. She reads and she speaks and understands Yiddish, right? Halavai. So should it be. Harriet redt und versteht Yiddish. Yeah, und das ist Emes. And it's true because we're speaking Yiddish now and she understands. Sie versteht. Okay. Okay, so remember from last week, if you can pull up your sheet from last week, let's go back over some of those other pronouns, right? Ich keeps the base form of the verb, so ich lach, ich schlof, ich red, yeah? Ich wohn in Atlanta, ich wohn in Toco Hills, Atlanta.
Ich lach.
Ich lach. Good.
Ich wohne in Florida, in Miami.
Okay. Du lachst. Du wohnst. We add a samach test. We add that ST sound for the second person, right? And then Z, and S, third person, is familiar from our song tonight, where we're adding just the test, the T sound at the end. Lacht, singt, schloft, tanzt, right? And then what happens when we get to mir? We. Mir singen, mir lachen, mir reden. We add that nun sound, right? And then we have y'all, you plural, or a very respectful you, which is expressed by the pronoun ir, and that is a repeat of the third person, where we're adding that test, that T sound at the end, lacht, singt, schloft, and they, it's a repeat of we. They singen, they tanzen, they lachen, they schweigen, they schlafen. Okay, so now I'm going to keep picking on people, but I'm going to expand the question of what people are doing or where people are living so that we can practice more of these pronouns that we've learned. Karen George, yeah? Wo wohnst du? Where do you live?
Hold on. Ich wohne Atlanta.
Du wohnst in Atlanta. Good. Und Steve Horowitz, du wohnst in Atlanta? Ja, du wohnst in Atlanta. Okay. Jennifer Malkin? Wo wohnen Karen und Steve?
Karen and Steve wohnen in Atlanta.
Ja, sie wohnen in Atlanta. Sehr gut, sehr fein. Okay. Wo ist die Mishpokhe, was wohnt in Boston? Who wohnt in Boston? Siehst du Mishpokhe? Is there a family here that lives in Boston?
Yeah.
Ja?
In Boston.
Wer wohnt in Boston?
Deborah, Sierra, and Zoe Weiss.
Deborah, Sierra, und Zoe. Okay.
Wir wohnen in Boston.
Sonia, wo wohnt Mishpoches Weiss? Ja, du, Sonia, wo wohnen sie?
Thanks, sorry. Ask the question one more time.
Wo wohnen sie? Where do they live? Wo wohnen sie?
Sie wohnen in Boston, I think.
Ja, sie wohnen in Boston.
You're frozen.
Sie wohnen in Boston. Okay.
Okay.
I unfrozen?
You're
Am I?
off and on. Just give it a second. Just give it a second.
Am I thawed yet?
No, but you look nice.
Am I still frozen?
No, you're back.
Okay. It's a whole new reason to smile at my students because I never know when I'll be frozen in whatever expression I have on my face. Okay. Speech bubble. Wie heißt du noch einmal, speech bubble? Wie heißt du? What's your name?
Lisa.
Lisa?
Ich Lisa.
Okay. Ich heiße Lisa. Du heißt Lisa. Ja?
Ich heiße Lisa.
Lisa. Die Weiß Mishpokhe. Mishpokhe ist Weiß. Deborah, Sierra und noch jemand. Sie wohnen in Boston. Was tun sie? Was tun sie? What are they doing? Does not have to be true.
Sie schlafen.
Yeah. Hmm?
Sie schlafen.
Sie schlafen. Sie schlafen. Ja, Mishpokhe ist Weiß. Sie schlafen. Yiddish class is a little boring sometimes. They schlafen. Okay. Mitchell Gray, wo wohnst du? Mitchell Gray, wo wohnst du? Where do you live?
How do you say I?
Ich wohne.
Ich wohne in Atlanta.
Du wohnst in Atlanta. Du wohnst in Atlanta und Steve wohnt in Atlanta. Joy, wo wohnen sie? Wo wohnen sie? Unmute yourself.
I don't know. I was born in Atlanta, but I don't know how to say
Yeah, but we're talking about Mitchell and Steve. Wo wohnen sie? Where do they live?
They live in Atlanta.
Yeah, they wohnen in Atlanta.
Born in Atlanta.
Okay. Now, everybody who lives in Atlanta, final thing, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself if you live in Atlanta. And we're going to proclaim that we live in Atlanta. Mir wohnen in Atlanta. Ja, wir wohnen in Atlanta.
Wir wohnen in Atlanta.
Wir wohnen in Atlanta. Okay, so I'm going, I see that I have this unstable connection. I'm going to end class. I'm going to try out different places in my house and see where I have a better connection for next week. We will have breakout rooms so that we can shore up all of our practice. But in the meantime, look over your vocabulary from last time and from this time, and we will have a summative exercise next time. There will be no tests or quizzes, but there will be a summative conversation exercise where we get to use some of this vocabulary about our families and where we live and where different people in our families live. And we're also going to add in a little bit about our body parts. And that will be our final session. So
can you send the corrected sheet? Can you send?
And I will send the updated sheet to Rabbi Solish. And I'm so sorry that I sent the wrong.
The questions
Miriam.
were asking. I didn't have any vocabulary for that. Was that somewhere? Or
That
you
was
were
last
just-
week's vocab.
Not this one about the name. It was when people said so-and-so is dancing, so-and-so is sleeping.
From the song.
So that's all from the song.
You
That's
just
all
take
from
it.
Rebbetan.
We were just taking it from the song.
Yes, you're putting
Okay.
together your knowledge of present tense verb forms from last time and the song vocab from this time.
Thank you.
And holding your
Miriam.
conversation in Yiddish.
Miriam.
Yeah.
Miriam, could you send these out earlier in the week rather than an hour or two before the class, please?
I will try. I'm creating all new materials. I'll try to get to it earlier in the week, but this is a pandemic parenting moment, so it's hard. But I'll do my best.
Because not all of us have printers at home. We have to go elsewhere to print them.
Oh, to pray. Okay, so I'll try to get it to you before Shabbos. so that you have time to print it.
Okay.
That'll be my goal.
Thank you.
Miriam, I think we should finish with As de Rebbe Zinks.
Oh, if you want another rousing rendition, unmute yourselves. I'm always happy to sing in Yiddish.
Miriam, before we sing, I need a PDF of the first lesson with the English translation as well as the transliteration.
Okay, that.
I'll send that to you.
Yeah.
Rabbi Solish can send that?
Yeah, I've sent that out already. You should have got that, but if not, I will definitely send that to you privately.
Okay.
I got you covered.
Thank you.
Okay, so when I see everyone unmuted, then we can start singing. I'm not doing a solo here. You're welcome to leave if you have other things you need to do, but if you're staying, you're singing.
Okay. As the Rebbe sings,
As the Rebbe sings, thinking all of
Thinking
La
Singing all Hasidim.
As the Rebbe
Dance. Dancing all Hasidim. Dancing all Hasidim.
hop, hop, hop.
Hop, hop,
Hop, hop, hop.
hop, hop, hop. Dancing all Hasidim.
Rebbe
As
Schweig.
the Rebbe schweigt.
As the
As
Rebbe
the Rebbe schweigt.
Schweigt
Singing all Hasidim. Singing all Hasidim. Again, all Hasidim. As the Rebbe schloss. Schlossen alle Hasidim. Schlossen alle Hasidim. Alle Hasidim.
Terrible. Gute Woche, Allemen.
Bravo, bravo.
Seid gesund.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank